Let's talk big time receivers. Welcome back to the Black and Gold Standard Podcast, and we're going to keep this series going. The top five players at each position for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and today we're going to talk big time, big play receivers. This is the area where the Steelers have had a lot of success in drafting. Um, Obviously, got some big time Hall of Famers in this position. Like I say, they've over the years they just got a knack of finding good receivers, and it seems like they're still keeping that going on. So we'll see. But for right now, let's get into let's get into these guys here. Like I say, this is my opinion. I know some people might not agree with it, but that's what we do this type stuff for. So starting off, my number five guy is Lewis Lips. Um, he was kind of, he came to the Steelers when they were kind of going through a transition from Lynn Swan, John Stallworth. I mean, Swan, I think, was already gone. He played a couple of years with Stallworth, but he was right at the tail end of his career. Um, Louis Lips was a big time player, a big play guy. I know if you was probably to look at his yards per receptions, it had to be something pretty high. Unfortunately, injuries kind of took its toll on him and shortened up his career a little bit. But he came in as a rookie, really showing that he belonged. And I want to say he came from Middle Tennessee State. I'm not really sure. I know he came from a smaller college, and he was a big time player. And like I said, the Steelers has always drafted well in this position. And Lewis Lips was my number five receiver, all time receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, let's go to number four. Lynn Swan. I know some people will say, "Hey, this is a Hall of Famer." Might be kind of low, but like I say, I think the Steelers receiving room is stacked. And Lynn Swan, was a great receiver. If you look at his career numbers, they really wasn't too impressive. But that's just part of that was just it was just the times that they played in, and it wasn't a lot of opportunities because this Steelers were basically a running team. But Bradshaw knew that he could count on Swan. He could put that ball up, and he was going to go up and get it. I wish I could see his combine numbers or whatever. I don't know if they was calling it combine then, but I would love to see what his 40, what his vertical leap. I would love to see what that was because I mean he could sky. And like I say, Bradshaw knew he didn't have to be too accurate with this guy. He could just put that ball up, and Lynn Swan was going to go get it. So Lynn Swan, the Hall of Famer, is number four for me. Let's go to number three. John Stallworth. Again, another Hall of Famer. Um, you know, John was a big play guy. I mean, when the Steelers needed a big play at a crunch time, John Stallworth was the guy to make it. The Super Bowl against the Rams, those two big long touchdown catches pretty much sealed that game for the Steelers. Big, again, kind of a bigger guy, but had that speed, could get downfield, had great hands, and wasn't. I think Swan was probably the more popular, but John was probably the better player, and he was another one of those studs that the Steelers found from a small college. Didn't draft him pretty high. I think he was like a 4th-round pick, and he developed into a Hall of Famer. So with that said, let's go to number 2. Hines Ward. Now Hines Ward could have failed a lot of places on this list. And the only reason I say that now, if you look at his stats, he basically holds pretty much most of the receiving stats. But Hines is probably the least gifted player of all these players is on my list. But with that said, his heart was huge. He's well known for his blocking. Actually, people always say, they had to change the game because of a way a certain player played, and Hines Ward made the NFL change the game. Now that you can't have that crackback block, it's because of number 86, because Hines Ward was totally destroying people. If you just go back and watch his videos, I remember the one kid from Cincinnati, I think it was Rivers, the linebacker, he broke his jaw. Poor Ed Reed, he got Ed Reed so many times. It was just ridiculous. So the one thing I gotta say with Hines, is not too many guys on this list, and definitely I won't say in the NFL could match his just his spirit and how bad he wanted to be out here. And like I say, he was never one of the most. He's not the fastest, couldn't jump the highest, but he just had that I don't know what you call it, but he loved the game, and he was a tough player, and he ended up making himself into. I honestly, I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I mean, it might be a little time before he get in, but he's on the fringe of being a Hall of Fame player. So with that said, let's go to number 1, Antonio Brown. I had to do a lot of thinking about this one. And yes, it's I put him over 2 Hall of Famers, another borderline Hall of Famer. And the reason I did that, because I truly believe Antonio Brown could be a Hall of Famer himself. Now, it's well documented of what's going on with him, and it's unfortunate. I hate how his career ended with the Steelers. But with all that said, and put all that, to the side, and just look at what he did on the field, unmatched. Is unmatched. I mean, honestly, like none of these guys that I've had on this list can't match up to what Antonio Brown was doing on that field. And at his size. I mean, this wasn't a big guy. I mean, he was unbelievable. And that's what makes it so sad and just so disappointing that, the way everything ended for him. I mean, he was unstoppable. You could double team him. It just didn't matter. This guy was unstoppable. We always say Randy Moss, this, that. Antonio Brown was unstoppable. And unfortunately, the only person that could stop him was Antonio Brown, and Antonio Brown stopped himself. But I believe he's the best receiver that ever wore the black and gold. And like I say, it's a sad situation of how it ended, but I got to be honest with myself. And then on top of that, a lot of people probably don't remember he was an unbelievable kickoff and punt returner, just unbelievable. But once he kind of established himself as a Pro Bowl receiver, that the Steelers stopped letting him return punts and kickoffs. So this guy had it all. I mean, it's just you always hear wasted talent, and he didn't waste. So I mean, he had some good years, but just sad how it ended. But anyway, that's my top 5 all time receivers for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. So until next time, I will talk to you later. All right, take care.